Hello there everybody, Adam Cleary from FourFourTwo here, and penalty shootouts. They're a lottery, right? Wrong. Penalty shootouts, just like every other thing in football, are a sporting endeavour, and when something is a sporting endeavour, it can be both analysed and coached, and when something can be both analysed and coached, it can be improved. Now, where penalties do differ to the rest of football is we're not talking about some grand, sweeping, genius tactic that's going to take a team from the bottom of the league right to the top. We're not talking about some genius pattern of play that's going to get a centre forward 25 goals a season. We are literally talking about this. The tiniest of margins. But the thing is, when you are deciding an entire game of football, an entire tournament, sometimes an entire season on one kick of the ball, sometimes this is massive. And as we have just seen with both Arsenal in the Community Shield final and the England women's team at the World Cup, two teams who do absolutely everything in a penalty shootout to get this, sometimes the rewards speak for themselves. So how do they do it? Well, let's have a look. Alright, now before I start, I just want to reiterate again, we are talking about the smallest possible margins here. It doesn't guarantee you anything. Teams can do all the stuff we're going to go through here and still never win a penalty shootout. But it's better than doing nothing. And there is a reason why more and more teams are starting to do this, and by extension, a reason why you're seeing those teams win more and more penalty shootouts. So first up, the Huddle. So one thing that should have been glaringly obvious to anyone who watched the Women's World Cup penalty shootout was the difference in the huddles between the two teams at the final whistle. On the Nigerian side, pretty much the entire team, the entire coaching staff, every single person involved in that team got together to discuss the penalties and go through exactly what they wanted to do. But England did not do that. It was literally just Serena Wiegman, her assistant, the 5 guaranteed penalty takers on one side, and the 4, remember, because Lauren James got sent off, possible penalty takers on the other. A far smaller, far neater, far more controlled, far more collected group, just very simply reminding them of what the order was and giving them very basic, very clear instruction. Nigeria, by contrast, they've got pretty much every single person. Loads of people in that huddle do not need to be there. It's very difficult to get your messaging through. It's very difficult to be direct. It's very difficult to just quell the emotions when you've got so many other people around. But most interesting of all, you will notice that Mary Earps is not involved in this huddle at all. If you just want to picture it on the pitch, that's the England team getting their little huddle, and I should have added about twice as many to this, but that's the Nigerian team all doing the same, and Mary Earps isn't there. She's here. Mary Earps is standing in plain sight of the entire Nigeria team on an iPad going through who knows. Now maybe there's something useful there, maybe there's not, but it doesn't matter because the players can see that she is doing that. And then all of a sudden just a little thought creeps into your head of, oh, does she know which way I'm going to go? The thing is, if Mary Earps is just doing the exact same thing here with the rest of the team getting involved in that huddle, and you're not going to see that. It's not really going to cross your mind to even think about it. But the fact she's doing it where they can all see her, that might sound up, but just imagine you're taking it and you normally go to the right. If you think the goalkeeper is going to go that way, you're going to try and put it as close to the post as you possibly can. And of course, the closer you go to the post, the more chance you've got of hitting the post. And crucially here, England's instructions were far shorter and far more concise than Nigeria's, meaning they were done first, which leads us, of course, to the next part, the preparation. Now, to really quickly here, while all this was going on, Millie Bright went and did the coin toss. She won what end they want. Obviously, they went to the England fans, and she won who got to kick first. They decided to go first. There are several schools of thought about whether you should go first or second, but there's not really any conclusive proof either way of that. They just wanted to do that, so they did. But because England would finish their team talk a lot quicker, they got straight into the centre circle, and they all got into a nice little line as centrally as they possibly could. They all stood in a big row like this, arms around each other, one unit, not moving, and that is really important because Nigeria have to stand somewhere, and all of a sudden you force them right the way up to this part of the halfway line. Now that might seem like just absolutely nothing at all, but think about it. You're now slightly further away from the goal, so when you go up to take your kick, that's further for you to walk. That's longer for you to be getting into your own head about what you're going to be doing. Then think what it does to the eye line of both goalkeepers. As they're looking out, they now see that team front and center, which means they can put your goalkeeper off and they can be more supportive of their own. And even just from a psychological perspective, you've already been shunted out over to this side. There's just something commanding and something pressure building about doing that. Anyway, though, none of that matters if you don't hit it well. So number 3, The penalty. Now, this is something that people have debated for a long time as different penalty techniques have crept into and out of the game. There's a long run-up, there's a short run-up, there's a curved run-up, there's a straight run-up. There's that one a lot of players do where they start straight and then they hop off to the side and then curling from there. You've got Jorginho's little sort of jump he does to put the keeper off before he hits it. You had Pogba's little bang thing that he used to do. There's loads of different ways of doing it. But the reason none of those have ever become standardized, why you've never seen like this weird trend of everybody taking penalties the same way, is because the way you hit a penalty, whether it's in the Women's World Cup or the Community Shield or five-a-side, however it is, it should suit you. If you feel like you are technically better or even just more confident hitting a penalty a certain way, then that is how you should hit that penalty. And of course, that will vary across every single player in the world, but they should all have their own defined penalty taking technique, even if that technique is just bog standard. Like if you just compare Chloe Kelly's kick to Martin Ødegaard's kick, you could not have a bigger contrast between run-ups and styles and everything than those two, but they had one thing in common, and that's they were both hit with supreme confidence. So yeah, that one might go without saying. There's no one thing you should do to take a penalty, but there is one thing you shouldn't do, and that is don't rush yourself. Have to say enormous shout out to AFC James on Twitter for compiling this information, and of course special hello to all the verified accounts that then lifted it entirely uncredited in the hours afterwards. But this is the number of seconds between the referee blowing his whistle and a player beginning to make his movements to strike the ball in the Arsenal versus City penalty shootout. That disparity is not accidental. It's something that happened in the England women's game as well, something you've even seen the men's senior team do while we're at it. They are waiting for the whistle, then they are taking a big deep breath, and they are going when they are set and when they are ready. Other teams traditionally, and I know I've done this myself, will see that whistle as more of like a starting gun, like ready, set, go, hit the kick, and that rushes you. That does not allow you proper preparation time. And you can see in the Man City penalties, they don't look anywhere near as composed as Arsenal's. There's virtually no better strikers of a football in the Premier League than Kevin De Bruyne, and he sort of does his walk back, he's sort of getting himself ready, the whistle goes, and he just straight away runs up to take it, and he hits the bar. Like, you need to give yourself time to think, time to compose yourself, get your heart rate down, get the air in your lungs, just get ready. You're allowed those seconds. This is something the FA have actually been working on for a while, because obviously, historically, England absolutely terrible at penalties. They've been looking for any little margins they can help with, and one thing they identified really early on was just take your time. Here's Harry Maguire, who everybody thinks is absolutely terrible in the penalty shootout against Italy, taking a nice deep breath and then wellying it into the top corner. That is one of the best penalties you've ever seen under that much pressure. And again, I feel I do need to keep pointing this out. It doesn't always work. Here's Marcus Rashford composing himself and then still hitting it ever so slightly wide. But that's the point. We're not talking about anything that guarantees you're going to score a penalty, like Georgia Stanway nearly killed someone in the front row with hers, but just stuff that gives you a slightly better chance. But of course, it's not just about your penalties, is it? The world doesn't revolve around you, buddy. The opposition get to take some as well. And for that, you have the goalkeeper. So, the goalkeeper. Now, Mary Earps did not save a single one of the Nigerian penalties. For all the ones they missed, she didn't actually get a glove to a single one of them. And yet, she celebrated every single miss as if she had clawed it out of the top corner herself. She and the rest of the team celebrated those misses like it was a plan coming together. And can you imagine, in a pressure situation, watching another team do that? What that says in your head, like, hang on, did they knew we were going to miss. They're expecting us to miss. Are they expecting me to miss? Oh my god, am I gonna miss? And to professional athletes, that won't do a whole lot, you're right, but it might just sometimes do this. And when we are talking about penalties, we're talking about the most high pressure thing you can do in a game of football. This can be Now, yeah, ultimately, both England and Arsenal won those penalty shootouts because they took better penalties and scored more of them than the opposition. But if even one of them was scored because somebody took the time to compose themselves, or if even one of them was missed because somebody got in their head because they had a slightly longer walk, then all of that is completely worth it. And yes, like I said at the start, sometimes it might not make a blind bit of difference, but the teams that do this give themselves a better chance of winning a penalty shootout than the teams that do not. And all you can ultimately do in these situations is give yourself a chance. Oh, and actually one final thing you can do that guarantees you will hit the target every single time you take a penalty is subscribe to FourFourTwo on YouTube. Yeah, honestly, yeah. I'm not actually at liberty to discuss the science behind that. It's a closely guarded secret, but it works. It does work. Trust me. In all seriousness, though, a lot of creators are like, oh, if you want to support the channel, it's like X pounds a month, or it's like X dollars a month. Not us. We are completely free here on YouTube. It's never going to cost you anything to watch all this. But if you do subscribe, that really does help us, because then we can then show that to our superiors and be like, look how many people enjoy the stuff that we make. And they'll go, oh, that's really cool. Do a whole heap more of it. So that is how you help. That's how you support. Leave a nice comment. Show the video to your friends if you think they'll like it. And click the little button. That's what means stuff to us. If you have made it all the way to the end of the video, though, let's do something really fun, right? Pretend that I am a goalkeeper and you're about to take the most high-pressure penalty in your life. I've already got it in my head which way I'm going to dive, so comment below where you are hitting the penalty, and I will tell you if you score it or if I save it. That'll be fun. Otherwise, though, you can get me on Twitter at Adam Cleary, CLERY, the whole 442 family at 442, or sometimes 442 UK. You'll find it, I'm sure. The season preview issue, the best one that we do, is in stores now. Everybody loves this one. There's stuff about every single club in the world. Not the world, but probably the ones you support. Go buy that. Until next time, though, I'm rambling here because I'm very hungry and I want my lunch, but I'll see you soon. Bye.